There's already a subway down here. Hold on. Oh.
I know it ain't the stallion.
This is exciting. Okay. Hey guys, Wheatywaffle here today, and we are back in City Skylines 2 playing our City of Second City. And today we're gonna build a metro. I think we're just gonna that's the goal. Now we gotta figure out where it's gonna go. So let's see. First, we gotta unlock the metro. And bear with me if my nose and my voice just sound a little strange. I've been sick for at least a week. Getting a little bit closer to 2 weeks. I'm on the up though, which is great, which is why I try to record episodes like a week or two in advance so you guys don't have to miss anything when I'm ill. We are having a bit of a death wave, but I will say I'm loving seeing this museum. Like this just looks, I know it's a homeless camp and it has 78 residents, but just having this like massive square building there looks so cool. I'm very happy with that. Okay, so we've unlocked the metro. The size of this thing is pretty substantial. This is the metro yard. It's only 200,000, which actually is not that bad. But we're gonna have to figure out where it's gonna go. Okay, I've been flying around the map, and I think I want to place our shipyard or subway yard. I'm thinking right here, next to our train station over here in Easton. Yeah, over here in Easton. I'm gonna back it right up into here. Here's what I'm thinking. We could have the metro line here. We've not built anything in this area. And this section of Vermont Street, does it have any buses? It does have a bus on it. But I think we could potentially rework this section of Vermont Street. It just kind of dead ends right here. And I wonder if there's a better way to set this up so that we are maybe going over top. Okay, we've got a few things we have to do. First things first. Let's go ahead. Let's level out this section of land. Let's increase the strength to 100. We're going to grab this height, and we're just going to go into like a big square right here. It's going to cause some changes in the land. That's okay. There'll be a new little cliff area. We will work around that with our roads in the future. Then let's place down this new subway yard right here. Try to place it so it's nice and straight along the back of this other building. Better yet, what if we place an alleyway along the back of this road, of this train station? I can't guarantee I'm going to be able to make this work, but if we do this, here's what we're going to do. We're going to place it. It's going to cost 200,000. Eek. Just place it down. Now, place another alleyway along this road. Not even an alleyway. Place a regular road along this road, along this side. Then rotate this and place it against here. So now we know it's perfectly secure inside this little area. I am going to maybe scoot it over a little bit. All right, so there's our new subway rail yard. Kind of nestled over here, out of the way. And then we can kind of leverage all of this space for all of our tracks. Let's first prioritize fixing Vermont Street. Okay, we've got people coming this way, and they cross over and they go into here. I wonder if this area here is enough room for me to bridge over this section. Let's find out. Let's let this taxi finish its little journey, and then we are gonna have to mess some things up. So I am gonna pause just briefly so that I don't totally ruin the bus network. Let's go ahead and pause it. Let's get rid of this section of road right here. I have to use anarchy for this. I also think we can get rid of this roundabout and potentially just fix this road a bit. So let's grab our road, go from here, come out straight, upgrade this section of road so that it has a tram line on it, upgrade, turn anarchy off for this, bam. That's all fixed. It's no longer intersecting the train station. Perfect. Now, this avenue, what I think we do is I think we actually expand our avenue. So instead of it just being right here, I think the avenue comes off of here, turn off anarchy. Should be no anarchy on for this. Let's go up a whole 10 units. Let's actually go up 7.5. We're at the 90. 90 and 90 is there. I want to come from right here. Right there. Snap to that angle. There's 7.5. Is 7.5 a bridge, or 7.5 got the... It looks like it has the support, like key walls on both sides. Okay. So let's get the 90. I'd be fine with really going as far as we can. I don't see why we wouldn't. 11.2%. That's fine. Can this go over this road? Though. Not well. Not well. Okay, hold on. Let's try this again. Straight on out. Let's go to 875. That can cross straight on over here. Just like so. Let's cross right on over. Just like this. How does that look? Not bad. Not bad. Now I am going to change this little section because I want this to have kind of key walls on both sides. Is the better way to do this, though, using this upgrade tool? I don't know if it makes much of a difference. But this would put key walls on both sides of this little section. Yep. Train goes underneath. Then I think what we do is we remove whatever is now being called Elm Street, which it was not Elm Street before, but I guess it's Elm Street now. I'm waiting patiently for, well, one, any communication from the people who create this game, and two, the opportunity for them to update the road system so that it doesn't keep doing that. But we're not here to complain. All right, let's go straight. Then we're going to curve with this previous road. I want to get rid of, I think I want to get rid of this and these. That's what I want. I want to connect right to that kind of center area there. And we're still elevated for this whole thing, which I like. And I'm thinking we get rid of this section of road. Can we essentially send this curved into here and get it to go right in here? Maybe we curve. There's our center point. Let's do this first. Let's upgrade this side of the road. That has a key wall. Yes, we were starting to get some larger buildings here. Okay, here. Let's do the upgrade. Don't do anything fresh with this. Place this here. And place this here. For now, this is unnecessary, but I think we're going to get closer than ever to needing to start moving this industrial area. I think it's time. We're really starting to get to a place where I'm ready to see that get out of the way. Then we go from here straight down into here. It's barely losing any height, which we love. It's got a little retaining wall. It does need... Oh... Doesn't like a little love. Like, what is that? Hold on, let's try this again. If I just to go from here to here, can we get this turn on constant slope? Much better. Much better. So now we've upgraded this section to have a better throughfare, and now this avenue comes all the way down to the highway connection. Because we've changed some of this road around, I've kind of messed up my buses. I don't need this or this to exist anymore. So now they can just curve up here and then go up into Ivy Gardens. That's perfect. All right. Now it does also mean we have this tiny little area here that no longer makes total sense. But I think if we bring this out a little bit, we could place a small little cul-de-sac, maybe with some grass in the middle, right there on the end. What is this building? Community kindergarten. And these are USA Southwest low-density housing, which I think we're going to place a few more right in here. And we'll place some right along the back of here as well. I think that's great. Go ahead and hit play. No reason to stay paused longer than we need to. Maybe we will also add in a small path kind of right through here like that. Here we go. Few new houses, an additional connection point there. That's great. Hasn't fundamentally changed any of the connections we've got here, but now we're able to pull out all of these tracks, which I like. All right, I think we remove really all of this. And what we do is we leverage this particular road connection here. And we send it over like that. Because I want this to be a straight road, I think. If we were to go right from there to there, can still bring this straight on down like we had before. And it still would connect up. We can remove the weird bit of zoning that's there. It does not need to stay there. Just makes that a bit cleaner. I think that's the right way to go. Nobody's even located on these roads. Like, these roads don't have any zoning on them or any connections. So what if instead these alleyways extended down? So now we're doing a little bit of expansion there, but that's a cleaner connection. That's going to work really nicely. And screw it. While we're here, let's go ahead and add, again, some large houses along here and some large houses right here. Might only get one. I really don't like these tiny little ones that are coming in here as well. That's fine. I think for this, we're going to get rid of these. I just don't think they make sense. Let those be like mansion style homes. We're going to have to do a lot more with the trees because see how dense this is? That's what this is all going to need. But all right, we're getting distracted. Now we're back here. Subway. Subway. This is the very first subway line. And of course, it's running into a pillar. Isn't it? Of course it is. It has to run into a pillar. So here's what I think we do. I think we turn everything off. And in some way we eyeball this. Because we're going to have to move out of the way. So I think we send this to here. Bam. Right? So there's that subway connection. And we've got to figure out where the paths are going to go. But for the moment, let's just get connections in place. And then we're going to figure out how this all works together. We're going to want to have a single lane, one lane track. Although the one lane tracks are only one ways. Does that matter per se? Connect from here and basically go straight in. Connect from here and go straight over this way. That's not terrible. I'm wondering if I want this to curve over this direction instead. Let's back this up. Because here's what I'm thinking, and we're purposely leaving the game running right now because I want to get more money. I am thinking we need to have a route that comes from, I don't know where it ends up here. Maybe it just ends over here in Denny Ridge in Alexandria, but it comes straight down the center. I know we already have a bus route that does something similar. We also have a tram that does something similar, but here's where things are going to differ. If we look at our tram network, let's do it this way, I think. Yeah. If we look at our tram network, we have a tram line that goes all the way along the edge here, down, and then over this direction and goes straight. Kind of cuts almost east to west. And then we have another tram network that goes from South Bend, but then cuts in and goes up the center of the city. I want to kind of get right in the middle here and kind of patch these two networks back together using the subway. And my thinking is we'll have the subway line come straight down here, and it was going to curve, come over here past the college, and then be an elevated rail along Marley Nature Preserve, which will then eventually come straight on down and come into this area. Don't know what it's going to do yet. We're then going to have another subway that's going to go somehow over here, and that's going to come up and go into the previous line. So there's going to be a line that's kind of central that forks. One going through Pinewood Acres and Mullins, and then one going through South 2nd. And maybe the South 2nd line is where we have that elevated line, because it could be right along this road. So maybe before we figure out how this sets up, we figure out how we get to where we want to go. We know we want one here. Let's start with this. So we're going to want to have an underground subway station here in the heart of the city. The challenging part is where this is going to fit, you know, because we've got a lot of stuff here. Right here we have buses and a subway, or excuse me, a tram. And it's a pretty small building we're deleting. So I think one's going to go right there. If one is right there, which these cost 200,000. Whoa. All right. I think we then come down and we do another one on this corner, which again has smaller buildings on it. And so I don't feel as terrible about destroying those buildings. Now, some are going to say these are too close, and you can say that, and you may be right. I like where they're at. This particular line, I was going to say is no longer needed, but it is needed because it connects people back to the hub for repair. Although, if you really needed to go to the hub, you could come down here and go back around and then go up and in. It's not ideal, but it would free up an opportunity for me to place a subway station here. Or is there just an anarchy issue? There may just be an anarchy issue there. So we have one there. I wouldn't mind one right here. Maybe this is where we kind of switch to the other side of the street. Okay. And we would shuffle over. So now we have 3 stops here in the heart of the downtown. We're definitely going to need to stop up this way. Here's where a tram connection is. Here's where a bus connection is. So kind of somewhere in here. This is a relatively small building. What is this? This is like a fire station or something. And there's nothing zoned next to it. Like, that's just an open spot, isn't it? Oh, but we're at a bridge. That's why nothing's built there. So maybe we place this one. I'm mindful I don't want to mess up any like too good buildings. But I think we place it right here. There's still room for another building to develop along there. I don't know if it will. I almost want a second one over here. I know these are so expensive. But I want this to be like almost too good. The problem we have is that these are now way too close. They're going to be overlapping each other. So I guess this area only gets one. And then this subway, we get over here. I think this subway is going to curve. And the tram goes north. I think that this needs to go to the west. So we'll have another subway stop right over here at this intersection. There's no development here. We would not be knocking anything down to build this. And then for now, we're going to place one more. I know this is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It eventually is going to be useful when we figure out what goes there and we start expanding this way. But the reason this has to be here is because we have Doris Park here, and I don't want to put anything in Doris Park. For the time being, let's just start with connecting these together because we know where they go, and I think that's going to be easy enough for us to figure out how this works. We've got to get the subway elevated, because what I'd love to see is the subway at this point be an elevated rail that goes all the way along. So how we're going to do that is we're going to start with the elevated rail. Like, where can we build this? How do we get it to work? Because like I can build this. How does that work in relation to its small elevated subway station? Can I place this on top? I can. Can I not do it because there's also a trolley on this road? Like if I were to go over here, where does it go beside? Is there any road where this can fit on top? I mean, technically it could fit on top of this road. Well, no, it really can't. See, overlapping object. It never actually works. That? Nope. Was there a brief moment here where it worked? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so what if we just place these along the side? We have small elevated subway station, overground subway station, and that's just going to have it be flat to the ground so we can see it. Small overground subway station, which would just go along the edge. I was really thinking that this was going to be elevated. And not only was it going to be elevated, but like it was going to be doing the most. But I am mindful that I don't want to take over the preserve. Part of why we have that there is because it's intentionally safe from this type of development. Could we place any of these here? No, they're not going to work. They just keep running into things. Huh. Okay, this changes my thinking a little bit. If that's the case, then maybe this side does stay underground. This side stays underground for now because it's just not going to work the other way around. Right here can be one of these subways. Ooh, milestone 16. $400,000. I'll take it. We're going to go all the way through here. This is going to be a little bit more sporadic, though, because now we're in a bit more residential neighborhood. That's going to remove a business from there. And then do we do one more? I don't know if we do. I think we maybe just keep it to 2 for now. Okay. Lower this down. Connect these to one another. Just like so. And our last stop is here. There should be an additional stop, and I think the additional stop goes right in front of the college. There's going to be a new subway station here, next door to the bookstore. I don't hate it. Okay. You need to get to there, which is going to require a nice curve. We're going to go like this, and then like this. Connect you in. You are going to go up like this, and over like this, and in like this. Okay, so there is a subway line. Bam. This is an expensive project. So I think right about here would be a decent place to have maybe a connection come through. If I were to go with the 180 here and curve it up like this, turn this down. At that moment, it comes out of the ground, which we don't want. So then send this over here. And send it over to here. Then at this point, get it to come to ground level. Right? Why not? Is it going to ruin any of these houses? No, because these houses don't go this far back. If that's the case, we will stick by my 5% rule. Right there is 5%. If we go to negative 1.25, 5% happens here. If we go to negative 2.5, 5% happens here. And I like the way that's working. Okay. Now we do want to get elevated. Let's get loud. Because we're going to want to go over top of this road here. And I would be at the right place to do that at this point. The problem now is, though, how do I get back underground again? Let's not do that. That is not what I meant to do. Let's see about connecting to this, right? To get to an elevated section, it would be 875. But we could consider curving this. Right here is a curve. Get me to connect up to this. Is that because there's a support in the way, though? Like, that's not because of anything real. Yeah, that's because of a support. No, it's not. There is a support, like, literally right there, which is maybe the world's most obnoxious support, because technically this does work. It's far too intense. I mean, that's 10% right there. That's 845. How does that look? Do we hate that? Honestly, you're leaving the depot. You're not going to be going fast. If you're going nice and slow and you're just getting yourself ready, but then you just go back down underground again. Which is like, why are we elevating this section just to send you back underground if you're already underground? And look, I can't even delete it. Okay, yeah, that idea is not going to work. I like this kind of moment where it's almost like a trench. And so I wonder if I'm able to I'm not using anarchy for this, but that is allowing me to turn all that into a bridged section. So let's see about this. What if, delete that. Let's rebuild it again. Connect up to this guy. Keep everything on, but then go up one. Right here's a 1% change in grade. Right? What if you were to go straight on through? We're getting a bit close to the houses, which I do not love. So let's try to back that up a little bit. And then what if this was to come over here like this? And we could connect up to this guy. Just like so. Although again, we have that we have that post literally right in the way. Okay. Go like this. Let's just look at it. I like that. I think I like that. So then what's going to happen is we're going to go like this. Sorry, guys. I know I was trying to be real mindful of you and all that stuff, but you're just in the way. And it's not working. So you got to go. Now that's too much of an increase. 9.8. So let's do this instead. And the game just crashed. What I want to do is I want to connect kind of over and in. Like so. Then maybe what we do is we connect this up and in here like so. Doesn't look great though, does it? This needs to go more like this, like further out. What if we were to go like to here and then curve it over? Right? And then this could also do the same. Maybe just before. It's not terrible. I don't know if that's how that's supposed to look or not, but does give me like a nice corridor where it goes downhill, which is not bad. All right, so now we have essentially half. The lighting looks a little weird. No? That looks a little bit brighter. There we go. Now the lighting's back. That was strange. Anyway, so now we have our subway line. It goes downhill here and goes underground. And it fully connects to this section. While we have it connected, let's just go ahead and get started with letting this guy run. Why not, right? We're going to go from here. We're going to send the subway straight on down to here. The next stop is over here. It's not connected, so that's not going to work. Hold on. Hold the phone. Subway lines. Delete. Underground. I didn't actually connect it up. Sometimes the underground in this, I do find, is occasionally harder than the underground in City Skylines 1. Like, I don't know where we were. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's also do this with a bit more of a Like a bit more of a curve. Like I want to let this like actually get a curve going. There we go. Now it's connecting in. So that really has to go downhill. Okay, now let's try this again. So if we're over here and I want this to be orange. Nice bright orange color. Just like that. Perfect. So we're going to start here. Bam. We're going to connect over here. Loop around. Scoot all the way through this. Connect over here. There's only one stop there, but then you come over to this side of the city, we have 3 stops. Now granted, this is where everyone lives. Pathfinding failed. Did I not connect things up again? Oh my word. Shut it down. Are you connected? You're connected. This keeps going. You're connected. You appear connected. I think the rest is connected. We're going to find out if I'm crazy or not. All right, so then we had a subway, but it looks like it just deleted the line because we didn't actually finish it. All right, let's do it this way instead. Let's connect from here and see. Is it possible for this to reach all the way down here into Mullins? Which, like, what a crazy connection that would be. It is. Okay, so now they were connecting to Mullins. And we come all the way back up over here. And we connect all the way back up here into the Ortega section. Bam. Now what we got to do is do each of our stops. So we're going to have a stop over here. I guess this is probably technically the Ortega stop, I would think. Right? That's probably the Ortega stop. Then there's a stop over here in Alexandria. Trying to make almost like little hubs of connectivity and of transfer stations, if you will. This is definitely the Wilmar subway stop. Then down here we have the Longview subway stop, another very, very dense district for sure. Then this would be either Dickinson Narrows or Middle Peak. But that's right here. Great. Then we have this guy, which is really for the college. This is really the Trafford College stop. I guess you could also call it Briar Downs. Okay. The college played into purchasing that. Then this is Pinewood Acres. And then the last stop on the line is over here, which I actually would love to move this over to this side if we could. There we go. And that is the Mullins stop. All right, so there's already a subway, it appears, down here. Hold on. Oh.
I know it ain't the stallion.
This is exciting. Okay, subway comes down here into Mullins. I mean, no one's going to be on them yet, but soon they will be. So while that gets moving, let's let people start filling into those spots. Let's then try to build our next subway line. First things first, because we now have a line up and running, let's resave this guy. Bam. All right, now we got to get another line in here. And I'm thinking that line is going to be really focused on this direction. And I know this is all residential, but they already have a train line here. Maybe what we consider is we send it up this direction, right? I don't know if it's going to fit all through here, but maybe right around here is where it goes back underground again. So let's start having this. Let's have a small overground station that connects into this area. Here's how this is going to go. Remove the retaining wall on this side of this road, right? Thing that needs to get out of there. Then along here would go this raised subway line. Although the downside here is that this is absolutely going to intersect. Again, needs to be a much flatter area. You're saying you don't have power, but you're against the road, so I'm not really worried about it. Let's delete this for the moment. And let's see if we were to kind of flatten along with the height of this road here. If we were to flatten this section, right? What if right here was where this elevated train station were to go? Or this ground level subway station? That's perfect. That's perfect. Then we would take a slope terrain tool, reduce the size to 40, and go from there all the way over to here. And in one long swoop, connect back up. Just like so. Now, let's see if this is possible. If we raise this to ground level, and we were to send it straight out to here. Okay, let's see. Straight out to here, at which point we then do a curve to here, right? But instead of going down, I think this is where we begin to get this to go up. It's building in this retaining wall. There's a helicopter like right in the way. There it goes. Building in this retaining wall, which I'm liking. Lots of retaining walls here. This could then continue straight this direction. I don't know if we're going to be able to make this work, but we are going to try. I don't think we can get another stop here. Not with the current cargo line. And so, here's what we're going to do. We're going to sever this section of the cargo line. We're going to remove the retaining wall along this road. Okay. We're then going to flatten this whole area out. Please don't crash. Please don't crash on me again. Flatten this out. Just like this. Can we sneak in another stop here? We can. It's going to be tight. But I think we'd want it. If we're going to build this infrastructure, like let's frickin' build this infrastructure. You know what I mean? The challenging part we're going to have here is that we then need to, and this is where we're going to have to suspend some disbelief, because I've got to do something that technically would not be able to work in the way that I've been trying to play this game. But we're going to just pretend for the moment that this is allowed. Get this to go underground. Are we still underground? Are we able to stay down here like this? Does that work? No, that didn't work. Hold on. Hold on. Do a little bit of rework here. Back this up even further. These two cells closer to the road I want to preserve to have for our subway line. So I really want this to be in the two cells here, closer to or further from the road. And right here we can get this to go into a tunnel. I recognize that this is a terrible tunnel. I recognize it barely suspends the belief. But we gotta run with it. Because now we're underground. And let's get underground here, kids. Because I have to get underneath of this. If I stay at my 180, really, I want to kind of stay aligned with this. How high up can I go before it intersects? Right there. Right there, it allows me to build this. Perfectly underneath of this other one. Okay. Then, what we need to do is delete this absolutely beautiful curve, if I do say so myself. Slap a retaining wall on here, or what do we have here? That is a key wall. Slap a key wall along all of that. I know this might not feel like this is necessary right this second, but It is, because if we don't do this while we're building this, it almost means that you get attached to something before you know it's possible. And then when you come back, you're like, oh, I can't actually do what I want. Now I got to undo all this. It doesn't look as good. But if we do this now and we get it right, that changes everything. Now, this is actually out or coming in a bit too far because our connection point has actually been pushed back now that we have this second station. So bring this to ground level, connect to here. We want to keep this on the ground. We want to connect right up into this. What we want is take this height and go just like this all the way along this section of Front Street. Right? Front Street is going to be our guide in a sense. Send this over and send it up. Send it straight on in, just like so. Beautiful. Now, upgrade this whole thing to have a retaining wall. Go back here. Grab, I'd say, this height. Let's lower it down and around. Okay. And underneath here, we have our cargo line. So now we got to get our cargo line reconnected. Again, you're gonna have to suspend disbelief because we're about to start working with some grade percentage changes that just would not be happening in real life. But look at that. Hold on. We've done it. So ignore what it's going to look like underneath here. Let's just pretend it looks really nice. But if we were to go like this, kind of give that a smooth out. Give this a little bit of a smooth out as well. Bring these rocks forward a bit. We're going to have to put a lot more rock work into this. But I can work with this. I can live with this. If I anarchy in an additional retaining wall here and here, that heads right underground and Bob's your uncle. At the moment, I recognize this is a very small section of elevated rail, but we still have not built out Beechwood Mills, which these are just placeholder names for now. And I feel like we can come underneath the highway here, and then we could even raise it up and have it come through this neighborhood, and maybe this goes over this way. And Mullins just ends. Who knows? Maybe this is like the coastal line, and there's a spur that connects them. That's an idea. Okay, so now we've kind of opened up all this area. So what we do now is, I love these little sections that we've built. I think they bring so much uniqueness to this area. I'd love to have this elevated along the top of this road. I just don't think it's going to work because we already have a bridge here. Like, infrastructure wise, we're really doing the most. So I think we do need to come up here, and at this point we begin to go underground. Now there's nobody living here. Really, there's a few people here. That's about it. I would want the subway then to maybe be along here next to our train station, and then it goes into Sheffield, and we'll have a second one somewhere here in Sheffield. So let's see what we think of this. If we were to place this guy right here, it's overlapping something. There's a surface here. Can I then fit this right in here? I can. No anarchy, nothing. So now we have a subway right there. It's going to connect to this subway. It's going to then turn, and it's going to need to come into Sheffield and Warehouse Bend. Oh, we have not been in these neighborhoods in a minute, and I'm so glad to be back. This has like a really beautiful kind of little downtown street here that I don't want to interfere with too much. And it does have a train line that goes across. We could consider placing the station see. If we're underground, it's going to need to be able to turn up and in. I would not want to remove any of the business, but we could consider having the station maybe right here. I don't know if that will work with the hill. And we could move our radio mast, because then it would at least be, you know, in the business district area. While we're here, let's go ahead and upgrade this just fully. Give it more. And then let's scoot it over. We're going to move it over this way for now. We might switch that later, but that's going to have to do. Because then this station, which you can walk off, get right onto Coleridge, and come right up into here. Amazing. It'll curve over. And I think it's going to go right here if we can fit it. Can we squeeze it in here? We can. Oh, we can't. This is what I was afraid of. There's a hill, a pretty significant hill here. So that would impact that area. Okay, then what if we chose to place it along this road? What would we be losing? A lot. I just think we're going to be losing too much. Modern metro station. It's hard for me to see what that looks like. But it could fit here. Only removing this one building. Figure out how it sits back in here again in a moment. Oh yeah, because that kind of makes it like a little plaza, which is beautiful. It's kind of exactly what this area needs. Hold on. Hold on. I know there's something there, but anarchy a path right through. Yeah. Anarchy the path right through. Then let's use this new surface to kind of clean up this area. Use move it. Skirt this tree over here. Like so. And we still have to figure out how this is all going to play out. Brief intermission from Subway. So now you've got this kind of plaza area that then leads into this grassed area, and you still have all these homes over here protected. I'm just obsessed with Sheffield. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods. This and this area is maybe one of my favorite builds of the entire city. Okay, back to what we're doing. This can then curve over here, connect there. Great. Now, this is going to need to go forward. And what does it do? Does it have an additional stop? I wanted an additional stop down here. And so I think it does. I think we do a regular. Wow, modern is so much cheaper. So much cheaper. Like by a mile. But we have the space that this could go right here. And now I think everybody is going to be happy. Everybody's going to be connected up. You can't say this is not a good connection point. Challenge is we are going to run into the other one. Is this something that we could kind of curve into though? It looks like we could. Both directions. So let's do that. Now that we have that, now what we're going to do, let's grab this one, which I'm hoping still works. Oh, works just fine. All right, and this needs to head over there. So for this, we are going to do a little bit of complex curve to get that to connect in real nice. Here, I also think... actually, I don't even know if we need a complex curve for this or not. Let's see. Let's first try to get this to connect into the appropriate place. Is it not low enough? There we go. All right, then this is gonna go to here. Then we should be able to send this straight up and over. Switch back over to the straight line here. All right, there we go. Now we just gotta get this guy to connect into this station. I think I'm going to want to curve it over so that we can get it to go downhill here. So what we need to do is we need to turn everything off but angle. Go from here over to here and then go straight to here. Should we begin to go down? Look at that. It's barely... It's actually flat if I do it this way. like we've made no change. Okay, we're doing that. How does that look from the surface level? Not great because we're so close to this other one. So I'd say let's walk that back. This is going to be challenging. Although I guess I could go downhill and then just come around. Okay, actually, this is not going to be as challenging as I'm saying. Because here's what we're going to do. I didn't mean to pause it. We're going to go from here out to here, over to here, and then go to here. Go ahead and do that again. Here to here, right? Let's get, at a minimum, let's get underneath of the bridge. And we can start its underground process, right? And we can bring it like straight up to here. Then at this point, this is where we begin to go down and get it to go underground. Right there. It's brutal. I think getting this to go underground sooner rather than later is probably in our best interest. And if we were just to send it out straight, we could send it over this way. All right, why don't we do this? We send it out straight to here. We then begin to curve it, and we curve over this direction. Like so. Here is then when we go underground. There's not enough space. Not enough space. I almost regret how I did the cargo line, because I feel as though the cargo line actually needs to scoot over this way. So let's try that again, because maybe that's what's going to unlock this for us. If we go from here all the way over along the road, just like so, right? Which I didn't want to do this before, but I think we have to now. Right here, the slope in the game is not considered too steep, so we're going to build that. Now we're underground. Perfect. Then we can get rid of this section of this cargo line. We can reconnect this section to this section. Cargo line is now underground still. Metro line can go along this side and then go down. Okay, this is the way this was supposed to work. If I were to take this and I were to go to here and we were to come over to this direction, see how we're at 8.6? That's at 3. Now, what we got to do is go from here over to here and then just get connected to here. Totally hidden. You can't see it. Okay, I've got tons of rocks in the way. Bring this back to ground level. Now what we could do is rework all these rocks, which is something I am going to have to do. So why don't I, just for the time being, go ahead and just delete all the rocks. I'm going to replace them in a better way in a moment. There we go. All right, let's get rid of these trees, because I think that these trees are unnecessary. Just got to be very careful not to accidentally delete any of the stuff we're working on. And now that I'm seeing this, I think that this doesn't actually need retaining walls. This needs a key wall all the way down. I think we could probably fix this a little bit with move it. If I were to bring this forward and then we were to switch over to the manipulation tool, I could begin to manipulate these points a little bit, just like so, so that the curve is not as drastic. That looks so much better. Okay. Now let's figure out how we're going to lay this line down. So if I were to start over here, let's make this one, oh, let's make it like a seafoam green. That's kind of fun. We're going to start here. All right, there we go. So now we've got our second subway line. We've got two. Look at that. And it does service, I think, a better area, because if you look, we've got a train station here over in Cypress, but the next stop for Cypress, for that train station, is Aspen Heights, which means everyone who lives here has no connection to that train. The tram is along this edge, but it doesn't actually go. It has a lot of stops to get you into the center of the city, whereas if you got on the subway, you would do 1, 2, 3 stops, and then or 4 stops, and you'd be in the city. Whereas with the tram, you've got how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to the same location. It's going to be much faster. There's no traffic. Buses, we do have a decent connection, but the buses also kind of focus on getting into the center of the city via the main road here, Maple Ave. So I think that's going to be a much better play. All right. Now that we have that, we're going to let that take a second to get itself up and running. I'm going to just quickly go through and slap down a ton of rocks, do a little bit of detailing here. We'll do a quick little detailing time lapse while we let people kind of get into these stations. I think that just looks much nicer. That's what this would feel like, I think. Okay, so we've got all of this edge done. Perfect. It's kind of this dry water basin. It can fill up with water when we have more coming in based on the seasons. We've now got an area where we have subway, train, and cargo kind of all moving together, which is awesome. Now, the question is, should the subway line also come over here? We have no residential connectivity to Keats Industrial Port whatsoever. And I wonder if the way we end this for the day is if we send the subway underneath. The problem is we have a very, very small amount of clearance here, and we're already using that for the benefit of cargo. But I'd love to maybe see it come over here and connect in this area somewhere. Hold on. Let's just quickly see. What if we were to... What's it overlapping? It's saying it's overlapping something, but there's really nothing here that it could be overlapping. And this area is relatively flat, which is what we want. I want it right there. But it's apparently overlapping something. I just don't know what that something is. Just go with me. If I were to anarchy this right here, okay, and then we were to take a line, I could probably turn anarchy off for this. We're going to need to have this up at 10, I think. Right? I guess we could leave anarchy on. What if we built this with anarchy? What if this went to here and we go off this direction? If I turn anarchy off, can we build this? We can. So anarchy is now no longer on. Right? Subway goes over this direction. Can we get it to go over is the question. Where would we need to be for it to go over? It would need to be here. We snap to angle. Could go right to there. We then curve. So we're going to want this to come here. What if we go from here to here like this? Right? Then... Is this crazy looking though? Like, this might be crazy looking. Just like so. Subway would go underneath of the highway and bring people over into the industrial sector. I think this curve here needs to be different. I think it's too tight. I'd want to go back again, I think. I want to curve from there. But I think we can make this work. Right there it works. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Now this power pole might be in the way of it. Are we elevated or are we just a wall? We're just a wall, but I'm okay with that. Then this goes from here. Turn everything off but these two options. Anarchy's off for all of that. And we've got a subway station that's right here. How do people access this? There's stairs. There are frickin' stairs. All right, I do think we go back up again. So I think what I would want to do, where this is flat, which is basically this section, I think I'd want to rebuild this, but I want to force it to be elevated. Bridge. I know it's not really a bridge and that there's like nothing on that side, but I think it just looks nicer that it's a bridge versus this like really long retaining wall. Let's move the final stop right here. Now it connects all the way over to that industrial area. We get 2 stops here at Front Street. And we now have a connection that goes all the way into this industrial area, which is kind of fantastic. Should this curve be grander though? As we're looking at this, I think it should. That works. So now we just have to get this to... Yep. Because now what we can do is we can go from here right up to here. Bam. Reconnects everything back together again. We're still golden. Much nicer curve for the subway line to take. Then we can just smooth out this line. Oh, no. Well, we just added in a brand new connection. Let's see what we've got going on here. We got 12 people here. Hasn't had a lot of time to kind of beef up ridership yet. People don't know about this brand new station we just opened, but now you can come all the way over here. I got to work on that. Come all the way over here, and there's a subway station in the new industrial area. All right, here's what we need to know. Are people using this? Yes. Yes, there are people coming from work who are going to get on that subway. Come over here. There are people coming from this area getting on the subway. Someone's coming from this stop area. Oh, this is great. Okay, I think that's finally where we're going to leave this. But now we've got a brand new subway line, which I'm so pumped about. Look at it. It looks amazing. All right, so that's the end of this episode here, guys. We spent a ton of time working on subways, but I think we finally needed one, and it just had to be put into the city. So here is what the subway map looks like in its current form. Let me know in the comments. Go ahead and pause it and tell me in the comments if you think we should change anything. I am wondering if we should have some kind of spur line that connects the two lines kind of in the southernmost part of the city, which is on the left side of your screen. But I'm going to leave that up to you guys. Tell me. All right, guys, I think that's where we're going to end this part here. A quick shout out to my channel members. Thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate it. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, click the link in the description below to unlock custom emojis, loyalty badges, early access to videos, save game files, members only content, merchandise discounts, and more. And until next time, leave your questions, comments, and feedback down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.